following comments were pulled from the Easy Allies Patreon page among our $10 and above patrons. They represent what our community was playing and talking about in April. While I've been making progress on my New Year's games list, there are two games I'd like to talk about that are both part of this list and that are not. The one that is Persona 5. This game captured my heart within the first 3 hours and almost made me cry due to a certain scene that happens at Shujin Academy. I'm about 40 hours into it, and I can't believe how much it has delivered so far. The music is amazing, both in combat high-tension scenes and during downtime, and the art is just spectacular. The second game that wasn't on my New Year's list is Night in the Woods. If you haven't started playing this game, I highly recommend you do. Like Persona 5, this game has touched on subjects that I heavily relate to, and both games do a fantastic job of representing them in the context they do. There were times during the story where I wanted to protect or fight for the main character Mei because I understood her pain and confusion that is revealed throughout the game. I wish I could say more, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone who has yet to play. If you like Animal Crossing and games that are more on the heavy side, please go give Night in the Woods some love. Persona 5 is one of the best games of the year. I'm a very impatient gamer, and I like to speed through a game so I can move on to the next one, and I figured it would be the same with Persona, but boy was I wrong. I not only underestimated how long it would take me to complete the game, but also that I wouldn't want to complete it, as that would mean no more Persona. I am 31 years old, and between this and all the other great games that I've played this year to completion, I will go on record and say this is, in my opinion, the best year in gaming history. And yes, I did play all those great games of '98. I picked up Persona 5 through an impulse purchase after hearing Ben's praises of the game. I had played Persona 3 and enjoyed it. However, when I tried Persona 4, I couldn't get into it, as crazy as that may sound to many Persona fans. After having sunk 15 hours into Persona 5 on release weekend alone, Friday to Sunday, I can confidently state it is fantastic and a blast to play. The characters they have created, the gameplay, and the story are all well crafted to constantly grab the player's attention and provide a tremendous sense of accomplishment. I urge anyone who has a PS4 to give it a shot when they can. I've known a lot about the Persona games for years, but never got around to checking the series out. After seeing the amount of hype and praise Persona 5 was receiving, I was drawn in and am loving it. The interesting thing is, I've never been a big fan of turn-based combat, even though I grew up in an era where it was king. I think what helps a lot is the flow of combat is so snappy and fast. Everything just feels so smooth, even though all of your characters are locked in place. On top of the great combat, Persona 5 has characters that I genuinely care about. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but it's a damn good game. If you own a PS4, I strongly suggest checking it out. Once I'm done with P5, I'll be diving into The Last Guardian and Yakuza 0. It's such a good time to be a gamer. It's not every year, let alone every month, that 3 of my favorite games of all time come out. Breath of the Wild is my favorite Zelda and is one of my top 5 games of all time. Nier was a masterclass in philosophical narrative that had the polish of Platinum Games to keep the action engaging. Yet neither of those are my presumptive goatee. Despite only being 30 hours into Persona 5, it is making a case for being my favorite game of all time. Every aspect of Persona 5 is stylized and optimized to be engaging, challenging, and rewarding. I cannot wait to explore every inch of this game on the journey to getting the Platinum Trophy. 9 years. 9 long years until we got a true successor to Persona 4. It's rare for me to just sit down and play a game all the way through without being sidetracked, but Persona 5, from its very opening scene, grabbed me like no other in recent memory. Its style is something that had me grinning from ear to ear throughout most of my 70+ hour playtime. When the credits finally rolled, I started to tear up. The characters were ones that I connected to far more than any other in the series since Persona 2's cast. Even days after beating it, I'm still listening to Shoji Meguro's amazing work on the soundtrack. I just hope we don't have to wait another 9 years of filler and side content before we get the next big adventure in the Persona franchise. Persona 5 is a perfect game. After years of waiting, the fact that the new game of my favorite series would become one of my top 2 games of all time is not a surprise. I expected nothing less of Persona 5, and it delivered. And even after more than 170 hours playing it, one of the things that still gets me the most is the experience a friend of mine has had with it. This friend hates anime and has no love for JRPGs other than Final Fantasy VI. Whenever I would talk about Persona, he would roll his eyes and say how it was weebo trash. After a lot of talking, I managed to convince him to borrow one of my copies. I braced myself for the worst, thinking that the subject and presentation might be too much for him, and he wouldn't be able to come to terms with it. Come Monday, he comes into the office and tells me I couldn't stop playing over the weekend, that game is amazing. Now he's looking forward to getting home and playing the game every night and discussing what he sees with me. Thank you, Persona, and sorry for not believing in you. It is not for nothing that you are my favorite series, and once again, you have shown me how your quality and attitude is able to make believers of even the least likely suspects. I shall not doubt of you again. Having just recently started a budget for myself and my fiancé, I've had to take a serious look at what really calls me to the various games I play, and what's so special about each of them. I wish I could get them all, but it really comes down to the fact that although there are many amazing games coming out, like Nioh, Nier Automata, Gravity Rush 2, Yakuza 0, and Mass Effect Andromeda, yes, the animations can be weird, but it's still fun. I cannot afford them all. When games like Persona 5 come out, though, it's all hands on deck. I'm 24 hours into my playthrough in a 3-day period, constantly listening to the soundtrack that came with it when not playing. I'm starting to think that passing on some other games might be the best thing for me, so I can jump back into that amazing world. Ben, you started me with Persona 4. Praises to you for your amazing taste in games. Mass Effect Andromeda has to be one of the most vexing games I've played in some time. The first impression that game makes is so bad it's almost insulting. The dialogue changes allow for more choices, but they remove some of the magic, like the ability to be a jerk when it's contextually appropriate. Beyond that, at times the choices they do give you completely miss what would be the obviously correct solution to a given problem. The characters and setting are introduced in such a rushed way that they make what's there feel shallow and pointless. I had never cared less about my teammates or wanted to skip dialogue more often than in the early hours of Andromeda. And yet, after putting in the time and playing through the journey, I still love it. I still got caught up in exploring and settling and earning my crew's loyalty and playing the diplomat and the frontier hero and, well, the Pathfinder. Mass Effect is a damn good universe, and it will be incredibly sad if the mishandling of Andromeda spells its end. The magic is still there, but they can't do it like this again. On a brighter note, after finishing Breath of the Wild and Andromeda, I now have time to dig back into Horizon Zero Dawn, and I can't wait to uncover more of the story. Plus, where else can I find such a beautiful open world with expansive underground ruins hiding mysterious technology that borders on magic? Wait a minute. Mass Effect drives me crazy. It has tons of issues, and I've actually been lucky generally, but I can't help but feel that there's nothing else out there I want to play. I'm having a blast doing everything on every planet. After 50 hours, some parts are starting to get stale, but I'm having so much fun. How do I even judge this game? It's fun like a 10, but objectively there's problems. I can't help but feel it gets less credit than it deserves though. Everything's improved from 3 and it shows they've taken criticism to heart. It's just a shame about the bad start. Almost every part of Mass Effect Andromeda has some serious problems. Take AI, for example. In this game, humanoid enemies like to take cover. You can run forward and shoot them in the back. They'll most likely stay still and absorb the fire. This behavior is surely stupid, and it can ruin enjoyment from the combat for many players. But before we start to blame lazy developers, let's try to come up with a solution to this problem. First of all, humanoid enemies are limited to the same moveset as the player, so they can't shoot backwards from cover. In fact, they can only stay in cover, stand and fight back, or run away. If they stand, they'll open themselves to the fire from our companions, which is not much smarter than sitting still. If they run away to find cover elsewhere, players can infinitely chase and shoot them or simply run through enemy lines and ignore the encounter. Don't forget that there must be some variety in enemy behavior, so you need to have multiple valid approaches. If those problems are not enough, fighting AI should be fun and balanced both in wide open spaces and in narrow corridors, so even if you find a solution that works in some instances, it can make others even worse. What I'm trying to bring home is that making a AAA game is much harder than we usually think. It's unfortunate that Mass Effect Andromeda was released in an unfinished state, but because it was, we can now see some of the challenges the developers must overcome on a daily basis. And if a game's problems will be fixed in upcoming patches, we'll see how these unsolvable challenges can actually be solved. Mass Effect Andromeda gives us a chance to learn more about creation of our favorite art, and there is definitely some value in it. This has been a crazy year for games. So many great games have released so far. However, I've been working my way through games I picked up in sales, so I'm very behind. I've just gotten the Platinum and all combat trophies in Batman Return to Arkham: Arkham City. This is my third version of Arkham City, and first time to complete all combat challenges. All hail Michael Huber! I'm a big baseball fan, let's go Mets, and have enjoyed countless baseball-themed video games from the NES era and Sega Game Gear days until a few years ago with MLB The Show. The last few years, however, I've come away from purchasing the series due to it seeming too familiar to years prior. I love Road to the Show, but felt that it was getting too repetitive and similar to its predecessors. That is until Huber pushed past my doubts and disillusionment to call me back. His stream of the ultra-hyped BBC nature documentary-inspired MLB The Show 17 has me pumped for a new year of Sony-branded baseball, baby. I am all in with MLB The Show 17. It's currently midway through April, and I'm still chugging away at the lovely Breath of the Wild. There is still so much to discover, even after my 40+ hours of playtime. The world, the atmosphere, it's so amazing. Scream it to the goddess. Thank you, Nintendo. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the culmination of video games. Okay, it's time. It's time to go to the castle and finish the fight. No! Look over there! Have you been there before? I'm sure that there is an awesome secret waiting for you. Really, I never want it to end. These are the two sides fighting in my mind when I play Zelda. Nier Automata should have received the love and attention that Persona 5 is getting from the Allies. If only all of you gave it a chance and actually played it. It's such a refreshing game with interesting gameplay and story, and unlike most AAA games, it didn't suffer any delays or major technical issues. Definitely my go-to so far, and I'm so sad that it's being forgotten already among you guys. Please play Nier Automata. Don't ask questions, just do it. Glory to mankind. It's a shame that Bravely Second has been overlooked by many, including most allies. It improves over the original in almost every aspect, with an improved story, a more refined battle system, and best of all, it doesn't repeat the mistakes of the first title. A must-play for anyone interested in the JRPGs of yesteryear. Brandon, you will like this one. I am moved by Night in the Woods. It's fascinating how it conveys loss, disappointment, and all the uncertainties in a young life. Combine that with a playful and intriguing aesthetic, and you have a special thing. It's a very deep and subtle experience, and I can't recommend it enough. Another big surprise for me this year has been Rainbow Six Siege. I decided to give it a go after all the late praise, and there is no doubt that they have made a great game. I can describe the game in 2 words that'll resonate in Huber's ears: high stakes. With that said, it's time to jump back to both the young and thriving May, but also a hardened GIGN operative that is about to breach the door on a Boeing 747 that's under siege. As they say, s'engager pour la vie. Now that its lifespan is over, I can look back on the Wii U and still say that I do not regret buying it. It had a couple of great games, but one really stood above all the rest. It's a game that I bought the console for, the one I waited years for. A game that stands as the best in its genre, and arguably one of the best games ever made. The name of that game is Bayonetta 2. Did you expect me to say something else? I mean, Breath of the Wild is good, but you can't pummel your opponents with giant Bowser fists until you finish them with a sexually charged torture device. Now can you? Before I get to what I've been up to this month, I wanted to give a shout out to an entry in the Disney Afternoon collection, Tailspin. I remember many a gaming session flying that biplane. Nearly 20 years later, I still remember the main theme. Now then, back to current times. At the beginning of this month, I managed to get my hands on a Nintendo Switch, and it has been a beautiful thing so far. Due to the Allies' love and respect to the game, I decided to give Shovel Knight a shot for the first time. I really enjoyed my playthrough. Specifically how, if I was having a hard time with the platforming section or boss, it was up to me to get good, rather than the game being poorly designed. I Am Setsuna also made a personal debut on the Switch. I've only managed to get a little bit in though, as I keep finding myself pausing randomly and wanting to turn on my digital piano. I am absolutely loving the mostly piano soundtrack. With all the awesome games that have been coming out, I'd like to give a shout out to a possibly overlooked remaster. Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 is absolutely the definitive way to play Kingdom Hearts 1 through Birth by Sleep. Seriously, even if you've played 1.5 and 2.5 on PS3, this collection is so worth your time. Not only are the horrendous load times gone on PS4, but every game runs at a rock-solid 60 frames per second. As a massive fan of the series, I honestly never considered how much Kingdom Hearts could benefit from a higher frame rate, but the jump from 30 to 60 is incredible. The level of precision you can achieve in the games now is crazy. Bosses that used to drive me crazy on the highest difficulties somehow feel more fair and approachable. Failure only means a quick reload and you're back in the action. Seriously, if you're looking to try the Kingdom Hearts series, or just want to revisit the games before 3 releases in 2026, yes, this release date is a poke at Square, Brandon, LOL. Look no further than Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 on PS4.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Space Channel 5.
iRacing dirt tracks have recently come out. Although iRacing is not something covered by Easy Allies, I really think that people should give it a chance. Dirt track racing is so much fun. There's something about sliding in a scanned track, and turning right to go left is a blast to do, and is very rewarding when you make a perfect turn through a half-mile dirt oval like Eldora Speedway. The thing with iRacing is that everyone has to use their real-life name, so when you see someone like a Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Larson, Timmy Hill, or Denny Hamlin, You know you're actually racing a real-life professional race car driver, and that he or she is racing with a fan. It's a very cool concept that real names are used, and not hidden behind a pseudonym, because that name is you, and if you act like a troll, trolling gets attached to you. Also, because of this, I've met some very neat people through iRacing and have become friends with professional race car drivers and professional esports players, and even regular ordinary people that have a shared passion in racing. I've been working hard on completing my backlog so that I could play some of this seemingly endless stream of incredible games coming out this year. While everyone is freaking out over Yakuza 0, I'm still working my way through Yakuza 5. I've played Yakuza 1, 3, 4, and Dead Souls before this, and right when I thought I had the whole thing figured out, the Yakuza series manages to constantly keep things fresh with new surprises, from switching characters during the story to some of the mini-games and set-piece moments they throw at you. I want to keep this spoiler-free for anyone who might want to play in the future, but I just want to talk about an aspect of this game that I find amazing. In the second part of the game, your character gets rescued from a bad situation and brought somewhere to heal up, again, keeping this as vague as I can. Early on, once you get there, you can leave and continue the main storyline. However, you also have the option to stay and help out the people who saved you, in a way that is very unlike the rest of the entire Yakuza series. My plan had been to blast through this game. I did a ton of side content in Part 1 and figured I had played enough Yakuza games to know what I'd be missing out on if I just sped through the rest and stick to the plot. However, in this second part, given the option to immediately continue, I find myself staying in this place to help these people out. I feel indebted to these folks who saved my life. The character you are controlling has also been well established to respect those who treat each other fairly and to always repay his debts. These values seem to have rubbed off on me, as even though I am dying to get through Yakuza 5 to play The Last Guardian, Horizon Zero Dawn, Resident Evil 7, Gravity Rush 2, Persona freaking 5, you get the picture. The point is, all of that has to wait, because I have a debt to repay. Love and respect. Howdy, Space Cats! I'm coming to you live through the vocal talents of Mr. Brandon Jones to give you a very special news bulletin. Space Channel 5 Part 2 is not only my favorite game of all time, but a game that I'd prescribe for every pang of anxiety we feel in this deluge known as 2017. Here is a classic Sega title that can run on a modern Steam machine for $7, which stands alone from its predecessor and can be finished in a single sitting. You'll take control of Ooh-La-La, roving space reporter and defender of the galaxy, as she saves innocent civilians and purges evil through the power of Simon Says dance sessions. Timing is crucial and messing up hurts, but the flip side is that getting it right with a well-timed shout of hey or choo feels so good. This is more than solid level design. It's the cast of endearing characters that gets caught in crazy scenarios, from robot clashes to electric guitar shred-offs to a waltz battle against a giant plant. The mix of musical styles that goes with them is terrific, from brassy pop tunes to psychedelic funk, and even includes a significant appearance by the one and the only Michael Jackson. All of this combines into a game that is bursting with positive emotions, hilarity, flirtatiousness, determination, self-sacrifice, jolliness, and indeed, love and respect for all that is good in the universe. Replaying the campaign this month has been immensely satisfying, and I strongly encourage you, dear viewers, to seek it out in all of its foot-tapping glory. This is Space Dominic, signing off. Ever since high school, when I did not have the money to buy the most recent games on a regular basis, I have the habit of buying and playing games when they're at least a year old. This strategy has been nice to my wallet in my college days, and even though I now have the money to buy the games I want when they release, I still prefer to wait a good amount of time. Somehow it feels weird for me to pay $60 for a game when my backlog is full of big titles from the last 5 to 10 years. This month has been a rare exception to this rule. I played a game on release. To be fair, it was a game I backed on Kickstarter, so it was already running in my library and there was no need to buy it. But still, it was interesting to experience something for the first time while the rest of the world is doing the same. The game I'm talking about is, of course, Yooka-Laylee. I'm not going to reiterate the criticism that most of the reviews mention. Let's just say that I do not disagree with most of it. However, there are two things that I want to put out there. First, it somehow is overlooked that the game exactly accomplished what the Kickstarter promised. If you look at the Kickstarter page, then the description of the game and its mechanics is pretty on point. They even address the concern of too many collectibles, and I am quoting here, "Yes, we employ the man responsible for DK64's myriad of trinkets, but we've had a stern word." At least from my point of view, Playtonic absolutely delivered, and I can hardly fault them for not providing more than what they originally promised. Secondly, the game absolutely nails the look and especially the sound of games from my childhood. Whenever I start the game and hear the soundtrack, I'm taken back to the time when my parents refused to buy a console and I had to visit friends to play games like Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. It brings back many great nostalgic moments, which was one of the reasons I backed the game in the first place. I hope that Playtonic will develop a second game, something the in-game jokes hint to, in which they can address the criticism of the first game. April, you crazy month. I was mulling over which game to write about and have concluded that there are just simply too many games to limit to one. Even worse, there are lots of games that may be overlooked. So I'm doing it. I am breaking my cardinal rule of focusing on just one game this month. My apologies to the editors. The first game I would like to call out is Yooka-Laylee. While well known, I would like to bring this game to the spotlight because I have felt it has gotten a lot more flack than what is deserved. For me, this game was nothing short of fun. It brought me back to the N64 era of collectathons and platforming. I really do think that if you are a fan of those games, you will enjoy it and absolutely give it a shot. As a backer, it was 100% of what I was expecting. The next game is the Disney Afternoon Collection. This game brought me back to my childhood. I went straight for Chippendale Rescue Rangers and the memories came flooding in. I was surprised how much I remembered in that game. Breezed through it even without touching the rewind button once. For me, it is easily the best game in the collection. It's just too bad my brother wasn't around because of the fond memories I had of us playing that game. Me picking him up, throwing him into enemies, or off the edge. Good times, good times. The rest of the collection is a bit of a mixed bag. For me though, was worth it for the nostalgia trip. Static is a PSVR puzzle game that also came out this month, probably the least known of everything I am mentioning. After playing it at PSX, I knew I would get it day one, and that I did. It doesn't tell you what to do as much as you have to figure it out. If you like puzzle games and have a PSVR headset, I highly recommend checking this game out. After a bit of a lull with games coming out for PSVR, at least to my interest, it was a nice revisit to VR outside of game nights with friends. The last game I will mention is What Remains of Edith Finch. This game sucked me in and exceeded my expectations. I feel that with this game, the less said, the better. So I'll be brief and mention that it is the best walking simulator game I have ever played, as well as one of the most impactful. Giant Sparrow is definitely a developer to keep an eye on, and I look forward to their next project. One of the best feelings is when a new console gives you something you didn't realize you wanted and now you never want to live without. With the Xbox 360, it was achievements. With the PlayStation 4, that was streaming and sharing game clips. With the Nintendo Switch, it's console game portability. Taking your games on the go was not appealing to me until Nintendo proved me wrong with the Switch. Whether I'm at the cinema waiting for a movie to start, sitting in my car 15 minutes before work, or sitting on the couch while my wife watches her stories, the ease of pausing and unpausing with sleep mode has made working through shrines in Zelda and clearing floors in Mr. Shifty quick and painless. If a multi-platform game comes to Nintendo Switch, that's the version I want to play, and Nintendo should be commended for their ability to innovate once again. Console iterations offer marginal improvements at that premium price tag while being outdated on the day they launch. I have been a console gamer since my brother and I owned our NES consoles in the 80s. It is my time to transcend from console to PC gaming now that Xbox has followed through with their Play Anywhere service. Instead of buying the Xbox One S, Scorpio, or the next latest and greatest console, I will build my own desktop that will serve me through the many console iterations to come. I'm eagerly anticipating E3. This year will have to be the year I buy a PS4. Ni no Kuni and The Last of Us were what made me get a PS3 late in the last generation, and it seems Ni no Kuni 2 and The Last of Us Part 2 are driving factors in my impending PS4 purchase. Then there's Spider-Man, Detroit, and other games I haven't played yet, like Digimon World Next Order. With Sony doing it so right, I'm curious what Microsoft will offer in return. Is there anything that can make me turn my Xbox One back on? Right now, Below might be the only game, and it seems like it has been forgotten. With E3 just around the corner, I'd figured I'd like to post my overall predictions for this year. Bethesda, New Wolfenstein, The Evil Within 2, first look at 2 different new IPs, Doom 2018 announced, something VR related, and at the end of the show, Quake is released that day. Also, some kind of smartphone game. Microsoft, Halo 6 announced, Phantom Dust gets a big stage reveal but will sadly be cancelled by the end of the year. Scorpio releases at a $500 to $550 price range and will also have some kind of bundle. Crackdown 3 to be re-revealed but will be scaled down from its original promise of being able to destroy a whole city. A surprise from Rare, the announcement of Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts 2. Kid-friendly Halo game announced, similar to the previously cancelled Mega Bloks game. Season 4 for Killer Instinct to bring in Joanna Dark as a playable character. Sony, Phantasy Star Online 2 finally gets a Western release. New trailer for God of War, with a spring or summer 2018 release. Resident Evil 2 remake debut. Will have classic over-the-shoulder and first-person camera options. Game will also be expanded to include the events of Resident Evil 3. New project from the Gravity Rush team announced. Phantasy Star Online 2 finally gets a Western release. First look at major expansion for Final Fantasy 15 set to release after the multiplayer expansion. Spyro HD trilogy announced. PS1 games coming to PS4. At least 15 titles launching immediately after the conference. PS3 backwards compatibility coming, but only for select titles, 4 of which will go live after the conference. PSP and Vita TV games being added to PS4. Phantasy Star Online 2 finally gets a Western release. Sly Cooper 5 announced. Update on that Vanillaware game. Massive update on Shenmue 3. New 6-minute trailer for Death Stranding. Will feature first look at gameplay. Phantasy Star Online 2 finally gets a Western release. Major franchise revival announced at the end of the show, leaving people speechless. Spider-Man announced for an October-November release. Ratchet & Clank 2 to receive HD remake. Cat & Cole to be exclusive to PS4 version of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Phantasy Star Online 2 finally gets a Western release. Nintendo, new Super Mario trailer reveals hat functions along with other playable characters. Virtual Console launches for Switch, with NES, SNES, N64, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and GameCube all getting between 2 or 3 games released that day. Smash Bros. 4 Switch announced, alongside Smash Bros. 5, new Amiibo. First look at Zelda Story DLC, new Star Fox announced. First look at 2 projects from Retro Studios. At least 1 major first-party game from Nintendo made on Unreal 4. Mega Man Legends revived as a Switch exclusive, alongside HD remakes of 1 and 2. Pikmin 4 announced for early 2018. Luigi's Mansion 3 announced. Final Fantasy 15 port for Switch announced. More in-depth look at SMT. Handful of Wii U games to be ported to Switch, such as Mario Maker, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess HD. Star Fox Zero We Fixed the Controls Edition. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Director's Cut Uncensored Edition. Bayonetta 2, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Super Mario 3D World as examples. New update on Xenoblade 2 will release in the US early 2018. Mother 3 finally gets an English release. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite announced for Switch will include 2 exclusive Nintendo characters in the form of Captain Falcon and Link. Beyond Good and Evil project announced, shows extended trailer of one shown at the Ubisoft conference. EA, about 12 minutes of Battlefront 2. First look at the Amy Hennig-directed Star Wars game, Star Wars 1313 to be revived. More details next year. 45 minutes of EA Sports. At this point, the audience leaves the conference to find a restroom. Dead Space, Mass Effect, and Burnout collections announced. Criterion shows off a new project not related to Star Wars. EA Sports somehow finds its way back to the stage to end the show. Ubisoft, Just Dance opens the show, everyone cringes. Far Cry Sigma shown off is direct sequel to Blood Dragon. The trailer will be so 80s-tastic that people will be bathed in neon throughout the rest of the show. 2 new games from the Tom Clancy brand, one of which is Splinter Cell. Short trailer for Beyond Good and Evil project. Full trailer to be shown during Nintendo Direct. New game using the Ubi art engine. New Rayman project announced. Assassin's Creed Empire announced for a 2018 release. Assassin's Creed America's Collection announced for PS4, Xbox One, containing Assassin's Creed 3, Liberation, and Rogue for fall. Insane, crazy, plausible, Phantasy Star, buttons. Who knows? But E3 is the time to dream, after all. I just want you all to know that Easy Allies has become important enough to me that I'm now worried about spoilers related to your videos. I'm rarely able to digest your videos as soon as they go live, and I'm also part of an active EZA fan group on Facebook, and while I love the community, sometimes there are posts that inadvertently spoil funny revelations and announcements. For example, someone simply wrote diaper hype shortly after the latest Frame Trap went live, and subsequently, I was way too anxious listening to that episode, waiting the announcement of a pregnancy. Of course, the truth was that Huber simply uses a diaper to wipe his Nintendo Switch screen. So, congratulations, your stuff means so much to me that you're worthy of the media blackout treatment. Just wow. I've been playing games since the early 90s, with titles such as Gizmos and Gadgets, Pepper's Adventures in Time, through Carmen Sandiego, Simcopter, Magic Carpet, to Dark Forces 2, Half-Life, Deus Ex, and beyond. But these past few months have been an incredible reminder of what this art form can create. While I'm still finding it difficult to find time for everything, almost done with Horizon, I've been reassured that video games, or interactive entertainment, is here to stay. Today, I'm reminded of the joys of video games and what they can do for our lives. Here's to an early selection of killer GOTY contenders. 2017, let's show the world what you're made of. Thank you to the talented members of every development studio, and the hard years of blood, sweat, and tears they poured into the fuel of these great games. The biggest surprise of the month, Friend Code. The dynamic between the panel was electric, and I'm eagerly awaiting more. Keep the awkward user review narrations coming. The least surprising thing of the month? Persona is a 10. What else did we expect? Often when people ask questions, it seems like they don't really want to ask a question, but make a statement. They go on and on about their opinion, and then, at the very end, they ask some random question just to end their pamphlet with a question mark. I find that really annoying. What's the capital of Iceland? After months of listening to the EZA podcast and the EZA community on Twitch and Discord, I finally got a chance to play video games that I was most excited about this year, due to a huge licensing exam. Being in Japanese high school of Persona 5 or using my bow and arrow in Horizon feels amazing. I would like to say thanks to all of EZA for keeping my sanity in check during the past months. Love and respect. April 13th marked the 25th anniversary of the release of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past in North America. To celebrate this event, I'd like to share my story with this game. This was the first Zelda title that I owned. We got A Link to the Past by pure chance. Our aunt was traveling to USA for vacation and offered to bring back the new hottest gaming console around. Me and my brother gave her our savings from our allowances, a list of games we would like to get, and off she went. I don't exactly remember how long she was gone. I don't think it was more than a couple of weeks, but it might as well have been a decade for how long it felt to us. She finally came back. We picked her up at the airport, and there she had it, our brand new SNES with Super Mario World and a Soul Companion box, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This game was not on our list, but she said that the store clerk told her it was supposed to be good, so she bought it. If you don't like it, just sell it and get some other game, she said. We kept it, and were stuck in Hyrule Castle for God only knows how long. No one in our household spoke English at the time, so we really had no idea what we were supposed to do. We understood some words like castle, prisoner, help me, but after we got to the princess's cell, we had no idea where to go or what to do with her. After many restarts and months of just roaming around the castle, luck finally struck. We were in the throne room, opened the map screen, and when we closed it and the game returned to the action, we saw it. I don't know technical details, but because of how the SNES worked, after closing the map, the background texture was loaded, revealing the exit behind the throne ornament for a fraction of a second, only to have it covered again when the ornament sprite was painted on top of it. We both screamed of surprise at the moment and tried to destroy the ornament with the sword, burn it with the candle, hit it with the boomerang, pull it, push it from the right, and finally, push it from the left. At last, we were on our way out of the castle. The rats in the sewer killed us a few times, but after getting to the sanctuary, getting an extra health container, and finally stepping out to the overworld, that Legend of Zelda tune was the perfect reward for our struggles. We got stuck a few more times. I vividly remember picking up a Spanish-English dictionary trying to understand the tiles in the 4th dungeon of the Dark World. How come there's no boss in the boss room? But that initial victory in the throne room, just because of a technical issue with the console inner workings, will always be the highlight of that game. Happy 25th, A Link to the Past. Thanks for all the good times. There are too many games. Not really a hot take, is it? How am I supposed to play Persona 5, which I'm loving so far, without rushing to be able to get to Nier and Yakuza, and then be able to finally play all the other games I still haven't finished? I haven't even gotten a Switch yet, and the games just keep on coming. These are hard times, allies. April has brought two things to me. Over the past month, we've gotten release dates for several games I'm either curious for or really excited about, and a long-anticipated game is 2017's Jekyll and Hyde. Destiny 2 provides an exciting yet muted potential for me. I somewhat enjoyed the first game, but I've only ever played it with friends, as for me, it doesn't play well as a single-player experience. I hope the sequel improves upon almost everything in the original, and I gotta admit, the trailer, especially Nathan Fillion's Cade 6, really got me feeling hopeful for September 8th. The improvement aspect can be said for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Don't get me wrong, I'm actually someone who has always enjoyed Battlefront since its 2015 launch. As a matter of fact, I've liked it more then than I do now, because matchmaking in the present state is deplorable for waiting times, whereas without DLC and the larger player base, games were quick to get into, out of, and fun. But because I don't like multiplayer-only games, no dedicated single-player campaign was disappointing, and the missions and survival were tacked-on aspects that were underwhelming. Now, with the recent reveal of single-player, all eras included in multiplayer, and there will be no season pass, they're all big bonuses that I'm hopeful for. November 17th can't get here quick enough. Finally, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy had a great story trailer with a release date at the end. This, over the other two, is what I'm most excited about. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End was my personal goatee last year, and getting more Naughty Dog Uncharted is always a plus. I don't care how long it is, or where it takes place. I'm just happy I will fork over $40 on August 22nd. With all of that being said, I have no faith in any of these release dates. Those, Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, and Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, all have release dates, but with the exception of Prey, recent years have made me disbelieve any and all release date news. Too many times I've been burned by dates being delayed and pushed, so when one is announced, my default thinking has become, I'll see it when it comes out. This is why I'm extremely happy that my most anticipated games, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Kingdom Hearts 3, and The Last of Us Part 2, don't. Though recently the former two being confirmed for 2018 at the absolute earliest comes as no surprise. I would like to conclude by saying I finally finished Mass Effect Andromeda, and over 90 hours later I can definitively say this, without a doubt, is the most personally polarizing game I've played in a long while. There are moments where I'm having a great time, exploring in space and on worlds, engaging in conversations with some of the crew, dialogue choices and major decisions being more nuanced than the simple Paragon Renegade system, and the epilogue was kinda nice. But I am infuriated with bugs, glitches, and game-breaking crashes, prompts not being accessible, getting stuck in a location, and quests not being closed when they're completed. Menus act up to where I'm being prompted to do things not related to the corresponding mission, or audio cues being completely cut off if I get too close to an objective or enemies. Amazingly, the facial animation everyone was in an uproar over has not seemed too bothersome to me, but most severely is the necessity of having to be connected to an online server to access strike missions or to keep track of progress game saving. This always seems a necessity of every EA game, and I really wish that wasn't the case, as I always have connectivity issues with their servers. Never do I have such a connectivity issue with other games, and it's a real downer that it impacts my overall experience on top of all the other issues I'm encountering. Constantly, I'm being notified my connection has been severed, and it's irritating. On top of that, I've had to back out of the game and relaunch it because the game has decided to freeze. Before I move to Prey, the last thought on Mass Effect Andromeda is, there are great moments to be had, and the best aspects of the game, character interaction, exploration, decision-making, are wonderful. But the far outnumbering and quite severe problems I've come across have made Mass Effect Andromeda, without contest, my disappointment of the first half of 2017. Hands down, best in the biz. I love trailers!